In this video, we're going to focus on how we can filter our array or highlight the highest value here. As you can see here, right now we have these kind of values here. And what we want to do here eventually is to highlight these specific values here nicely in Chartjs. We have the highest value and of course the second highest value. So let's start to explore how we can do this and give them a unique color. In this video, we're going to answer one of the viewers' questions, which is how to highlight the highest and second highest data point in Chartjs. So this question came from one of my other videos about how to convert arrays into multi-dimensional arrays or data structures in Chartjs, which is a quite interesting video as well. However, if you scroll down here, you can see this question came from Arnab Mukherjee. A special thank you to Arnab for asking this question, and I'm aware that you had another question as well, which was somewhere similar to this one, which I will make in the near future as well. However, this is what Arnab asked. Another nice video, sir. Could you show us how to flag one value as an exception in Chartjs? Let's assume I have a CSV file with dynamic data and I have charted all the data. Now let's assume out of the many values, I want to color code the highest and second highest value as an exception. How to do that? Flagged exceptions can either be displayed in different colors or flagged as a data level on. And then thanks in advance. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're just going to highlight them just by giving them a color. So I assume this will be like a bar chart or something like that. So probably the most easy one would be a bar chart. So let's start to work on creating a basic bar chart. For that, just go to chartjs3.com, getting started, because we're going to get here the basic code. And you see this here, for some reason I get an error here, but I know that it will work fine on Firefox, but also my other computer on Google Chrome. So what the issue is, I cannot describe. However, what we need here basically is the default code here. So I'm going to copy this chunk of code. And once I copy this, then I'm going to paste this in here. And if you want to understand what this code does, please watch this specific video here that explains it. So once we have this here, what I will do just quickly is to cut out this title here, put the title there. Alright, save that and refresh. Alright, so now we have basically an item here, and what I want to do is I want to default color them or give them a basic color. And what I want to do as well is I want to expand this amount of data, so assuming you have not only one or like 7 values, but multiple. So we're going to do some cases here. What we're going to do is here basically we're going to duplicate this. We're going to say comma here and then another comma. So we have 21 values. In here, I'm going to do the same. We're going to paste it in here and there you are. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to give it one, or let's say give 2 values, the highest value. And I'm doing this on purpose because filtering out the highest value if it's only 1 is very easy, and then getting the second value if there's only 1 is also quite easy. But if there's like 2 values of 24 and then you have another one here, let's say 21, this is far more tricky. And I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do then, because this is a bit more advanced way to do it. So alright, so we have this here. What I want to do first is I want to create here a constant, and this constant will be equal the labels as a value, and just going to cut out this, rename this to labels, and paste this in here, semicolon here. The next one will be a constant, and this constant will be what we call our data, let's say called data points. And this data point here will be basically this here. So cut out this, rename this to data points, and put it in there. Alright, so there we have this. The final item what we want to do here eventually is give me here a background color. The background color will consist, well, let's get 3 different colors. I'm going to grab this. Alright. And this border color here, well, we can just grab this one or remove this as well. What I want to do here eventually, I'll make it just solid, just for sake of simplicity. We're going to give these all very solid colors. Whatever, the default color will be, of course, a default black color. Alright, so we will have this one, but I realize that later on we will have a constant, and this constant will be our background color and our border color in one. So we just do 2 in 1. But by default, this is set on blank. What I want to do here eventually is this color here will be for the highest value. I'm going to use this one, that's why I'm going to put them apart or separately. Later on we'll be using this. Maybe you can just put it here, just brackets. Alright. This will be highest, and this will be for the second highest value. Alright. So if I save this right now and refresh, you can see here we get all black colors by default. We have here these two highest ones that should be eventually converted into whatever this color is. I guess this is an orange or purple color, we'll see. So what are we going to do now? Well, we're going to do the following. We have our data points here, and what we need to do with our data points is start to loop through them in a map. Basically, the map function or map method is probably the right term, which is an array.map, where we have this array here. So we're going to copy this, and we just say here the following. We're going to say here, well, two things. First of all, I want to extract the highest value here. The highest value right now is 24. So we're going to say a constant, let's say here max, which will be the max value. And then what we will say here, math.max. Then in here, what we need to do here is the following. We're going to use the rest operator, where we're going to basically indicate that we want to duplicate a specific array, which is this array here. So we have to do this with the rest operator, which is triple dots. Because if we don't do that, it will not work. So now, if we do this, you will see here, if we do a console.log on the max value or max, save this, refresh, open up developer tab. We now extracted the highest value here, and that is correct, as 24. We use 25, you see it becomes 25. So if I remove this here, you will see that this will give an error, not a value, because it doesn't recognize this. So with the rest operator, which basically means duplicate this entire array. If we don't do that, we need to copy this entire code here, paste it in there. That doesn't make sense for us. So this is a more short way or a shorthand code to write it. Alright, so we have this now, so you have a very understanding of this, it makes sense. So next thing what I want to do here is I want to go in the data point and now basically loop through it and do the following. If this is the highest value, we want to apply this specific color, and if it's not the highest value, we will just go through all of these and assign a black color by default, and we will push it in here. So this is very important to remember. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say a constant, and let's say here highest value color, or maybe whatever you can say, highest value color, maybe that's the right term. And then what we're going to do here is the following. We're going to say here the array that we're going to loop through is this one here, the data point. Then we say dot map. A map is a function where we loop through every item, very similar to for each or a for loop, but we don't have to do for loop and then the length, etc., etc. It understands that these items, it will loop just through all these individual items here. So here we use parentheses, and then here in the parentheses we're going to break down the data points into two items. We want the data points, so or basically the data points, but the individual item we grab. So we give this a name, and this can be right now it's data point without the s, that's just the individual item. But you could just use here value or item, anything you want. But the most descriptive topic right now would be, or the descriptive name would be the data point. Then we do here comma, and then we say here the index, meaning we also get the index. So number 18 in the data point is also an index of 0. And this one here would be index 1, 2, etc., etc. These are all based on how the array calculates in JavaScript, which is zero-based calculation. So now we have this. So basically now we're going to use the function arrow operator, indicating that this is a function. And then here we do your curly braces. This here is just a shorthand. Instead of saying function, and normally it's like this. And then we put in here like that. In this case, we want to remove this more common, and it becomes more and more common. So what we're going to say here is basically the arrow. So that's a shorthand writing instead of function, the arrow that indicates as well or means function. So now we have this, and what I want to do here is a simple if statement. This if statement will say the following. We're going to give it a constant. We will say color. So we say this color will become an if statement, and this if statement will be dependent on the data point value here. So, or maybe what I want to do is just to make sure you understand, is just to show you, visualize what we're doing here. console log, and if I just get the data point here, because I guess seeing this will make it more better. Alright, and then index. Save this. If I refresh here now, you can see here what's happening. 24 is the first value. Where is that? I guess that's the max, so I'm going to remove this one. Save this and do it again. So the first one is number 18, which is correct. This is this. And then we say here 0, which is the array value of 0. So if you go here, eventually number 24 would be the array. Let's search here. Somewhere 24, and then you can see here that index number is 7. So this is number 7, which is correct, because this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so that's the one we need. And then of course you see the next one as well. Here's somewhere the second one after that. That's probably number 9. There you are. So you can see this all works. So data point here shows the value. The index indicates the position in the element or in the array. Alright, so what we're going to do now is an if statement here. And this if statement would say only the following. If this constant of color equals the following if statement. We say we're going to grab here. This is basically an if statement here. So this is just a constant, but here starts the if statement. If the data point equals to max. And what is max? Right now max was 24, remember. That's number 24 here. If this is equal to max, and the reason I'm doing this is because if you would have multiple of the same value, which can be very common if you're working with updating a CSV file, maybe you have stocks or you have some other item that consistently changes, you might eventually hit the same value. So that's why we're going to filter out all of these eventually here. So we have, if you have 2 times the same value, this is the way you do it. And this is very important because I saw many samples on Stack Overflow that always shows only if you have 1. So that would be the perfect situation if only 1 value would be the highest. But in our case, we don't have a perfect situation. We have a more complicated situation. So this is suitable for if you have multiple of these even here. So this solves many issues. So we say here, if max equals, and max is 24 here. So if the data point equals 24, and this equals strict here, in that case, for now, I'll just say yes, and this will be eventually a color, which will be green, and else it will be black. Alright, so maybe we can just say here green or whatever color this will be. Let's grab this one here. So we have this color here. So once we do this, you can see here now console log. Let's grab the console log, and then we say color. I'm going to comment out these. You just want to show now this, and you will see how important this becomes. If I refresh here, oh, unexpected token 62. Let's see here. Oh, alright, sorry. This is not a, this is an if statement. If statement means here, we need to have here the colon here, semicolon here. Very important. Save that, refresh. There we are. So now you can see here, it's black 7 times, and then eventually it shows here, this value here, which is the color. And then again black, which is correct because this one was below the max value, or it's not equal to max value. And then again here the color. And then again multiple times black, 11 times to be exact. So this works. So why do we need this here and not maybe only this specific one? Well, we need to push this value. So now, remember we have this background color here. I'm going to say here dot push. Once we do this, we can now grab this color here, put it in there. And now I say here console log, and then we say here BGC for background color shortcut. Save this, refresh, and now we have this here. Alright, so that looks very nice. So let's copy this and just put that specific item in here. So we have this array now, and it's ready to work properly. So save this, refresh. Now you can see here it becomes purple. It highlights purple because it's the highest value. So what happened if I change this? Let's make this 27, and here another one, 27. Refresh, it recognizes this. What if I have 28? Only a single value, it recognizes this is the highest one. Alright, so this works very nice, beautiful. So now we are done with one part. But now, of course, how do we get then this here? For that, I need to use a trick within here. So this is a quite complicated question. JavaScript doesn't have what we have in Excel. If you have ever used Excel, they have a very phenomenal item which says max, Let's say we want not the first max, but we want the second max, and what happened is it will get the second max, or the second value after the first one. So it will recognize this 21 here. Sadly enough, JavaScript doesn't have this feature. They should absolutely have it, but fair enough. Doesn't have it. So what we need to do now is basically modify the array here. What I want to do in the array is I want to change these values to a default value of 0, meaning that the highest value will be looped and will be set to a default value of 0, knowing that anything else here would eventually become the new highest value. That would mean then we could basically reuse the same code here again, loop through it, but then get the second highest value. However, I'm not allowed to modify this original value here, because if not we will have a problem with our chart here. Alright, so sounds very complicated. Don't worry, let's start working on this. So what we're going to do here, the first thing what I need to do is I need to copy this data points array here. So what I'm going to say here is the following: constant, and let's give this very simple name, copy data points, and then equal, what do we do here? Exactly similar to this here. We're going to use the rest operator, which is a triple dot. This will indicate to duplicate an array or continue an array here, and this duplication will be exactly this specific array. So this is the copy array, and this copy array can be used now. So if I copy this here, and if I save this, you will see here, if I refresh now, this is the copied array, which is exactly the same as the original array, which is 67 here. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we want to modify this. But how I modify it? Well, I modify it within this specific code here with the map. Because the index here already gives us a very nice clue how to pinpoint this specific item here. However, because we have a duplicated array we created here, we can now pinpoint and just adjust the duplicated array, not the original. Very important. Never adjust the original array. Only adjust the duplicated array, and from there on we can start to play around. Alright, so what we're going to do here, and this is why this is so tough, because getting the second value if you have multiple same highest values is hard to do. So now what we're going to do here, we have this push here. This is very important. So once the push is done, everything is fine here. We are going to work now with the duplicated array. And what we're going to do here is the following. I'm going to give a very simple if statement here. And we're going to say here the following. In here, we're going to say if, because again this basically here, if max equals strict data point, or data point equals max, doesn't matter. Basically what I'm going to do here, we're going to splice the array 24 into, or the highest, or which would be max value, I guess in this case it would be 27, if it's 27, into 0. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to use splice for this. So if this is the case, or if this is true, in that case I want to say, we're going to grab the copy data points, because we want to modify the copied array. Then we say splice, and in splice what we're going to say is grab the index position. The index position is this one here. We grab this one here, and then we say comma the item we're going to. So this is the position, which would whatever be the array value, and then we say we're going to remove that one or modify that one. And what I'm going to modify in here, well, basically we say remove that and put in a new item in here. And what I'm going to do in here, I'm just going to put in a value of 0. And what will happen is basically we will remove this and replace it with a number 0. That's what we're really doing here. So if I save this now, if you refresh here, you will see here now, this is the copied array here, has now, instead of 21, which is here, because this is number 12 and this is number 9, you can see 9 and 12 is between there, or the 0 is between these two numbers. You can see here now it has become 0. Same here for number 9, and here for Saturday, this one here after the number 12 again is 0. So we have this here now. So now the max value, or the second highest, you can do again the max command here, but then specifically on this to get the second highest value. Alright, so now we have this part here done. We have this modification. So what are we going to do here? New constant. And this new constant will have the let's say here, second highest value color. And here, what we're going to do here is almost similar, except now we're not going to use data points, which is this one. We're going to use the modified version, which was the copied array here. So we're going to get this one, and then we say dot map. And all what we want to do here is very similar to what we did, except here, again the same item, again the same operator, everything very identical, except here we say copy data points, which will be data points, or data point again, similar to up. However, now this data point refers directly to the copied array here. Then we say here comma, let's see here, comma index, alright. And then what we're going to do here is the following. What we want to do, first of all, is this here. I'm going to copy this, put it in here, but I will say here not max, but second max. Let's call this second max. And this, of course, will not be from the data points, but now it will be from the copied data points. So if I do this, and let's do here a console log, let's comment this out for now, just to make sure. So we can see here the second max will grab now the second highest value. You can see here the second highest value now is number 21. There you are, and we'll see it nicely. So now we can loop through these 21 if ever there are multiples, and later on I'll just put in, I guess there are multiples here and here, and they need to have a new color. So that's what we're going to do now. Now, basically what we're going to do here is, in this nice map functionality or map method, in here we're going to put in the following. So we say here again an if statement, then we say here if, and then we say here data point, which refers to this here, equals strict second max. Or what we could do, I guess we have it here opposite, so let's be very consistent with that. Doesn't matter. So we have second max equals to data point. If that is the case, what are we going to do? We're going to splice again, except our splicing now will be the following. Not anymore on the copied. No. What we're going to do here, we want to splice this one. The reason why we want to splice this, because this here has the color, but it doesn't have the color of the second highest. Right now it's still being black. So we're going to change that. So we say here, the black color will be converted based on the index, which is this. And then here, this will be number 1, because we want to change only one item. And what exactly are we going to change? We're going to replace it with the new color that we have here. Put it in there. Alright, so we have that one. And then we can basically do this. We can even do this one here. If we save this now and refresh, you can see here now it changes this into a orange item, and this is a purple item. Basically here now we have adjusted this. And what happens now if we rumble it up with some different numbers? Let's change this into 10. I'll make this 10 again. And let's say this is 22, and what this will be, let's say this is 24. Here we have another one of 24. And let's save that and refresh, and there you are. You can see here now the highest value is 22, 24, 24. Alright, so what happened now if we have this 22 into 24 as well? What will we get? It will search it, the next one will be 21. Alright, makes this 21 number 9. Save that, refresh. You can see here it will start to change it nicely. And this is basically the way how you can do it. How you can pinpoint specifically. This is a quite advanced and quite complicated matter. I'm certain this code could be far more condensed. However, breaking it down like this probably will help you to understand, because we have to break it down into 2 separate arrays to figuring out what's the highest and then what's the second highest here. So this is basically the entire item here. If you are interested in learning even more, or converting, or understanding more about arrays, I would highly recommend you to explore this one here as well, because with this here, we're going to convert multiple arrays into a single data structure, which is also very useful for in your case as well.